The day the bomb fell on Hiroshima marks a watershed moment in human history, one that starkly showcases the power and peril of human ingenuity. This video traces the journey from the origins of the atomic bomb to the enduring legacy of Hiroshima, exploring its multifaceted impacts on science, ethics, politics, and international relations. From the Manhattan Project to the resilience of Hiroshima today, it paints a comprehensive picture of the atomic age, prompting us to reflect on our past and envision a future free from the shadow of nuclear devastation. The first nuclear attack. At 8:15 in the morning on August 6, 1945, the inhabitants of Hiroshima, Japan, were attending to their usual tasks. As vendors greeted early customers and children hurried to school, few could have imagined that their lives were about to change irreversibly. The clear sky was abruptly marred by the appearance of an American B-29 bomber, known as the Enola Gay. Hiroshima was about to become the first city in history to be targeted by a nuclear weapon. Carrying Little Boy, a nuclear bomb powered by uranium-235, the Enola Gay hovered over the city. The bomb was dropped, silently plummeting towards Hiroshima. Its detonation produced a flash of light brighter than 1,000 suns. Witnesses later recalled an ominous silence before a wave of searing heat and a thunderous explosion rocked the city. On August 6, 1945, the world witnessed the destructive power of nuclear weapons for the first time when the Little Boy atomic bomb exploded over Hiroshima. A brilliant flash followed by a mushroom cloud signaled the bomb's detonation. The city was instantly transformed into a hellish landscape, with buildings flattened, fires raging, and countless casualties. In the immediate aftermath, communication with Hiroshima was cut off, and the scale of the devastation remained unclear to the outside world. Emergency relief efforts were hampered by the extent of the damage and the continuing effects of radiation. In those first bewildering hours and days, the people of Hiroshima confronted a reality of unprecedented destruction and loss. The damage was instantaneous and catastrophic. Buildings within a 1-mile radius of the explosion's epicenter were obliterated, and fires spread throughout the city, fueled by ruptured gas lines and flammable materials. The shockwave shattered windows miles away, and the intense heat generated by the explosion resulted in burns and injuries to people far from the blast's center. In Tokyo, the Japanese military was initially left in confusion. Communications with Hiroshima had been severed, and reports of a single plane causing such devastation were met with disbelief. Japan's military command dispatched a young officer, Major Hatanaka, to assess the situation. Major Hatanaka arrived in Hiroshima by plane later that day. As they approached the city, he and his crew were met with an eerily unnatural sight. Hiroshima, once a bustling city, now appeared as a scorched, desolate wasteland. Firestorms raged across the cityscape, and a massive cloud of smoke and debris, later known to be the mushroom cloud, loomed ominously over it all. Stepping onto the charred earth of Hiroshima, Hatanaka was met with a scene of apocalyptic proportions. Bodies littered the streets, many beyond recognition, and survivors wandered aimlessly, their clothes tattered and skin burned. Buildings had been reduced to ruins, and the city's infrastructure was decimated. It was as if the world had ended. The shock and devastation that Major Hatanaka experienced were soon shared by the world. As news of the unprecedented attack spread, humanity was introduced to a new age of warfare, marked by a weapon with unparalleled destructive capabilities. It was a sobering realization that the world would grapple with for decades to come. On that fateful August morning, Hiroshima had been forever marked by the scars of the world's first nuclear attack, the development of the atomic bomb. To fully comprehend the magnitude of the Hiroshima attack, it's critical to understand the genesis of the nuclear weapons that made it possible. The story begins in the early 20th century with the rise of nuclear physics and a letter penned by one of the most eminent physicists of all time, Albert Einstein. The backdrop was a world at war. World War II had started in 1939, and by 1941, the United States had entered the conflict. The stakes were raised even higher, with intelligence suggesting that Nazi Germany was developing nuclear weapons. Scientists like Leo Szilard and Eugene Wigner, who had fled Europe's turmoil, were particularly alarmed. The creation of the atomic bomb was a result of the Manhattan Project, a top-secret U.S. initiative aimed at developing nuclear weapons before Nazi Germany could. The project marshaled the efforts of brilliant scientists, including Robert Oppenheimer, who became known as the father of the atomic bomb. Underpinning their work was Einstein's revolutionary equation, E = mc2, which demonstrated the potential to release vast amounts of energy from a small amount of matter. Harnessing this principle, the scientists successfully created a weapon of unprecedented power, culminating in the tragic events at Hiroshima. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, Szilard and Wigner sought to convince the U.S. government to pursue nuclear research. They knew they needed a voice that would command attention. They turned to their fellow émigré, Albert Einstein. Although Einstein was a pacifist, he recognized the global peril posed by a nuclear-armed Nazi Germany. In August 1939, he signed a letter to President Franklin D. Roosevelt, warning of the devastating potential of an atomic bomb and Germany's efforts to create one. Einstein's letter catalyzed the U.S. government into action, leading to the establishment of the Uranium Committee. However, the project lacked momentum until December 7, 1941, when Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, prompting the U.S. to enter the war. Post-Pearl Harbor, the government's attitude changed dramatically. The Uranium Committee evolved into the more aggressive and secret Manhattan Project, so named because its initial research was conducted under the auspices of Columbia University in Manhattan. Spearheaded by the United States with support from the United Kingdom and Canada, the Manhattan Project was a colossal effort that involved over 130,000 people and consumed nearly $2 billion, equivalent to about $30 billion today. Work was carried out in over 30 sites across the U.S., Canada, and the UK, including notable locations like Los Alamos, Oak Ridge, and Hanford. At the helm was physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer, appointed as the scientific director of the Los Alamos Laboratory. Oppenheimer assembled a team of brilliant minds, including Richard Feynman, Enrico Fermi, and Niels Bohr, who worked ceaselessly on developing nuclear weapons before Germany could. Their efforts culminated in the development of two types of atomic bombs, a plutonium implosion type known as the Fat Man and a uranium gun type, dubbed the Little Boy. The latter would become infamous for its use over Hiroshima. The first successful detonation of a nuclear device took place on July 16, 1945, in a test code named Trinity at the Alamogordo Bombing and Gunnery Range in New Mexico. The mushroom cloud produced by the blast rose about 7.5 miles high, and the explosion was felt over 100 miles away. It was a triumphant yet terrifying success. Oppenheimer, standing at the test site, reportedly recalled a line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." The sentiment encapsulated the chilling realization of the destructive force they had unleashed. Less than a month after the Trinity test, the Little Boy was loaded onto the Enola Gay, destined for Hiroshima. As the B-29 bomber took off from the Tinian Island on August 6, 1945, the world stood on the precipice of the nuclear age, consequences, and aftermath. The dropping of Little Boy on Hiroshima was a turning point in human history, an act that unleashed a force so destructive it altered the very fabric of the city and its inhabitants. In an instant, an estimated 70,000 people perished, with the majority being civilians. The total death toll by the end of 1945 reached approximately 140,000 due to injuries and radiation poisoning. The immediate impact of the atomic bomb on Hiroshima was cataclysmic. Within moments, approximately 70,000 people were killed, and 90% of the city was annihilated. Over time, the death toll rose, as tens of thousands more succumbed to injuries and radiation sickness. The long-term effects were equally devastating. Radiation exposure led to increased rates of cancer and other illnesses among survivors, known as hibakusha. Many faced social ostracization due to widespread fear and misunderstanding about radiation's effects. Additionally, the environmental damage was considerable, with entire ecosystems obliterated and the city left in ruins. Ground Zero was a vision of apocalyptic horror. The bomb had flattened nearly 5 square miles of the city. Survivors, known as hibakusha, walked amidst the ruins, their clothes tattered, their bodies burned and injured. Many were blinded, Others wandered aimlessly in shock, while some sought their loved ones in the rubble. The atomic bomb didn't just kill. It erased entire families, wiped out neighborhoods, and reduced a thriving city to ashes. Hospitals, schools, factories, and approximately 90% of the city's buildings were destroyed or severely damaged. The B-29 bomber, Enola Gay, became a symbol of this destructive power, its name forever associated with the event. It was an embodiment of human ingenuity and destructive potential, a point of both historical fascination and moral contemplation. Among the survivors, acute symptoms of radiation sickness began to appear. These included nausea, fever, diarrhea, loss of hair, and an alarming number of deaths baffled local medical practitioners unfamiliar with the effects of radiation. These immediate effects were merely the beginning of a protracted battle with radiation's insidious nature. In the years that followed, survivors faced a heightened risk of developing leukemia and other cancers. Their children experienced a higher rate of microcephaly, a condition where a child's head and brain are significantly smaller than expected. The atomic bomb's legacy was etched into the DNA of its victims, haunting generations. The fallout extended beyond physical health. The psychological trauma endured by the survivors was immense. Haunted by their memories, they faced prejudice and discrimination in Japanese society. Many struggled with guilt for having survived, while so many others perished. Internationally, the bombing of Hiroshima sparked a profound debate on the morality and necessity of using atomic weapons. Critics argued that Japan was already on the brink of surrender and that the bombing was unnecessarily savage. Supporters countered that the bombing precipitated Japan's surrender, thus ending the war and saving more lives than it took. As World War II ended, the event at Hiroshima heralded a new era. The atomic age had dawned, signaling a significant shift in warfare and global politics. Countries scrambled to develop their nuclear weapons, ushering in the Cold War and a tense global standoff that lasted for decades. Ultimately, the aftermath of Hiroshima was not confined to the charred remains of the city or the genetic legacy of its survivors. It reached into the psyches of nations and individuals alike, serving as a stark reminder of humanity's capacity for destruction. It challenged scientists, ethicists, and leaders to grapple with the moral implications of technological advancements and began a discourse on peace and disarmament that continues to this day. The echoes of Hiroshima's devastation reverberate across time, a chilling testament to the dawn of the nuclear age. Hiroshima today. Rising from the ashes of atomic devastation, Hiroshima stands today as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Over the past 7 decades, the city has undergone a remarkable transformation from a ravaged wasteland to a thriving, prosperous metropolis. Yet even amidst the bustle of modernity, Hiroshima never forgets its past. Post-war rebuilding efforts began almost immediately. The resilient inhabitants of Hiroshima, with support from the Japanese government and international community, labored to restore their beloved city. New buildings sprang up amidst the ruins, and in time, Hiroshima re-emerged as an important economic and cultural hub. One of the most extraordinary symbols of resilience is the Green Legacy Hiroshima Project. After the bombing, it was believed that nothing would grow in Hiroshima for at least 75 years due to the high radiation levels. Yet the following spring, new shoots were seen sprouting from the scorched earth. Today, over 170 trees that survived the bombing are still growing in the city. Seeds and saplings from these hibaku, or A-bombed trees, have been shared with organizations and groups in more than 30 countries worldwide, spreading a message of resilience and peace. Post-war Hiroshima's rebirth has been a testament to human resilience and determination. The city was painstakingly rebuilt, with great effort placed on creating a place of remembrance and peace advocacy. Hiroshima is now a thriving city, its Peace Memorial Park and Museum serving as powerful symbols of its transformation. Surviving trees, part of the Green Legacy Hiroshima initiative, stand as living memorials of resilience. The city's rebirth has also been marked by a cultural and economic resurgence, all while nurturing a strong commitment to peace and nuclear disarmament. The focal point of Hiroshima's transformation and its commitment to peace is the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Park. The park, located at the hypocenter of the atomic blast, is a poignant reminder of the lives lost and the devastation caused. At the heart of the park stands the A-bomb dome, also known as the Hiroshima Peace Memorial. This skeletal structure, the former Hiroshima Prefectural Industrial Promotion Hall, is one of the few structures that partially survived the blast and has been preserved as a grim reminder of the fateful day. The Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum, located within the park, plays a vital role in nuclear disarmament and peace education. It chronicles the bombing and its aftermath through photographs, artifacts, and personal stories of the hibakusha. The museum's mission extends beyond mere education. It serves as a poignant plea for peace and nuclear disarmament, hosting numerous conferences and symposiums to that effect. Hiroshima is also home to many hibakusha who have become peace activists, dedicating their lives to ensure that no one else suffers their fate. Despite their advancing age, these resilient survivors continue to share their harrowing experiences and campaign against nuclear weapons, symbolizing the human capacity for hope and resilience in the face of immense suffering. Yet, Hiroshima's resilience is not confined to physical rebuilding or political activism. It is evident in the city's culture, in its bustling markets, its thriving arts scene, and the day-to-day life of its inhabitants. The city's population has grown to over 1 million people, a clear defiance of the doomsday predictions made in the wake of the bombing. Today, Hiroshima is not merely a city that was destroyed. It is a city that survived, thrived, and dedicated itself to ensuring such a tragedy is never repeated. It is a city that encapsulates the horrors of nuclear war while simultaneously exemplifying the possibility of recovery, peace, and international solidarity. Standing amidst the bustling streets of modern Hiroshima, one can witness the city's remarkable capacity to bear the weight of its past while moving steadfastly into the future. The echoes of history resonate in its memorials and its hibakusha, but they do not overshadow the vibrancy of the present. Instead, they serve as a constant reminder of the preciousness of peace and the enduring strength of the human spirit, Einstein, and the atomic bomb. Albert Einstein's association with the atomic bomb is often misunderstood. While he played a role in its inception, his direct involvement in the Manhattan Project was minimal. To untangle this complex relationship, it is important to revisit Einstein's contributions to theoretical physics and his later efforts towards peace. Einstein's revolutionary equation, E=mc2, is a cornerstone of modern physics. It suggests that mass and energy are interchangeable. A small amount of mass could, in theory, be converted into a large amount of energy. This equation laid the groundwork for nuclear energy, leading to both the development of nuclear power and the atomic bomb. Albert Einstein's association with the atomic bomb largely rests on his famous equation, E=mc2, which paved the way for nuclear energy, and his letter to President Roosevelt highlighting the potential of atomic weapons. However, Einstein did not participate in the Manhattan Project, and his role in actual bomb development was non-existent. In the aftermath of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Einstein became a vocal advocate for nuclear disarmament and peace. Deeply regretting his initial involvement, he dedicated the latter part of his life to campaigns and initiatives aimed at controlling nuclear proliferation, signifying his profound shift from theoretical physicist to active peace advocate. However, the idea of using this energy for a weapon didn't originate from Einstein. The year was 1939, and there were concerns among scientists, particularly European refugees in the U.S., about Nazi Germany developing an atomic bomb. Leo Szilard and Eugene Wigner, both Hungarian physicists, were the catalysts behind Einstein's infamous letter to President Roosevelt. Einstein, a pacifist and Jewish refugee from Nazi Germany, was deeply aware of the threat that Nazi Germany posed. Thus, he lent his name and credibility to Szilard and Wigner's cause, signing the letter that they had drafted. This letter alerted Roosevelt to the potential of atomic weapons and the possibility of Germany creating one, spurring the U.S. government into action. Despite this crucial intervention, Einstein did not work on the Manhattan Project. By the time the project began, the U.S. was at war, and Einstein, a known pacifist with socio-video connections, was deemed a security risk. He spent the war years safely in the U.S., working on his unified field theory and unaware of the project's progress. After the bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Einstein was deeply shaken. He regretted signing the letter to Roosevelt, famously stating, "Had I known that the Germans would not succeed in developing an atomic bomb, I would have done nothing." He was appalled by the use of nuclear weapons against civilians and feared a nuclear arms race. In response, Einstein became a vocal advocate for nuclear disarmament and international control of atomic energy. He joined forces with other prominent intellectuals and scientists, co-founding the Emergency Committee of Atomic Scientists. Through this committee, Einstein campaigned for peaceful use of nuclear energy and warned the public about the perils of a nuclear arms race. Einstein's relationship with the atomic bomb has since been a point of historical and ethical debate. Some criticize him for his initial involvement, arguing that a dedicated pacifist should have abstained. Others, however, argue that Einstein's intervention was a necessary evil, given the potential threat of a Nazi atomic bomb. Einstein's later efforts for peace and disarmament have also been recognized and celebrated. In many ways, his journey mirrors that of science and humanity in the nuclear age, the thrill of discovery, the horror of destructive potential, and the quest for control and peace. In retrospect, Albert Einstein's legacy in the context of the atomic bomb is multifaceted. He was one of many voices that warned about the potential of atomic weapons, yet he was excluded from their actual development. His name and equation became intimately linked with the bomb, despite his principles and subsequent efforts against nuclear proliferation. The story of Einstein and the atomic bomb serves as a reminder of the complex interplay between science, ethics, and politics in our world. Nuclear weapons and international relations. Since the devastation of Hiroshima, nuclear weapons have irrevocably altered the landscape of international relations. The dawn of the atomic age introduced a new and terrifying dimension to warfare, resulting in a complicated dance of power dynamics, political posturing, and diplomatic negotiations. The signing of the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons, NPT, in 1968, was a significant milestone in the efforts to regulate nuclear weapons. This treaty, founded on the principles of disarmament, non-proliferation, and the peaceful use of nuclear energy, became a cornerstone of global nuclear policy. The NPT currently has 191 signatories, making it one of the most widely supported treaties in history. Despite its success, the NPT has its limitations. 5 nations, the United States, Russia, the United Kingdom, France, and China, are recognized as nuclear weapon states under the NPT. These nations are permitted to possess nuclear weapons, although they are obligated to pursue disarmament. However, progress towards disarmament has been slow, and these 5 countries still maintain significant nuclear arsenals. Additionally, a handful of nations remain outside the NPT and have developed or are suspected to have developed nuclear weapons. These include India, Pakistan, Israel, and North Korea, each posing unique challenges to the goal of worldwide nuclear disarmament. The reality of these nuclear outliers has created an imbalance in the international nuclear order and has often led to regional tensions and global concerns. The advent of nuclear weapons has profoundly shaped international relations, introducing a terrifying new aspect to warfare and geopolitics. The balance of power, diplomacy, and conflict have been influenced by the potential for nuclear devastation. In response, international efforts have been directed towards preventing nuclear proliferation and promoting disarmament, as seen with the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. However, challenges persist with countries outside this treaty developing nuclear capabilities, leading to regional tensions and global security concerns. Against this backdrop, the lessons of Hiroshima continue to inform peace efforts. The city's transformation and its commitment to peace serve as potent reminders of the human cost of nuclear war and the imperative for a nuclear-free world. Against this backdrop, the Hiroshima Peace Memorial Museum plays a crucial role. The museum serves as a vivid reminder of the human cost of nuclear warfare, fostering an understanding of the catastrophic consequences of nuclear weapons use. By keeping the memory of Hiroshima alive, the museum influences public opinion and policymakers worldwide, promoting a culture of peace and disarmament. The Doomsday Clock, maintained by the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, also underscores the urgency of addressing nuclear threats. This symbolic clock represents an estimate of how close humanity is to a man-made global catastrophe. As of my knowledge cutoff in September 2021, the doomsday clock is set to 100 seconds to midnight, the closest it has ever been. This alarming indication reflects not only the threat of nuclear weapons, but also other emerging dangers like climate change and cyber warfare. The nuclear landscape has evolved over the decades, with newer threats emerging alongside the old. The risk of nuclear terrorism, the proliferation of nuclear technology, and the potential for cyber attacks on nuclear facilities are some of the contemporary challenges that the world grapples with. Meanwhile, scientific advancements and geopolitical changes continue to influence the balance of nuclear power. In this complex web of international relations, Hiroshima's lessons remain relevant. The memory of that devastating day serves as a powerful deterrent against the use of nuclear weapons. It underscores the human and environmental cost of atomic warfare, reminding us of the dire consequences of escalating nuclear tensions. In the shadow of Hiroshima looms large over international relations in the nuclear age. It embodies the terrifying destructive potential of nuclear weapons and the immense human suffering they can cause. This memory drives the global community's efforts towards non-proliferation and disarmament, even as nations navigate the complex and ever-changing landscape of nuclear politics. It is a testament to the enduring impact of Hiroshima on our collective consciousness and our continued struggle for a world free from the threat of nuclear devastation. Hiroshima's legacy is a potent reminder of the human capacity for both destruction and resilience. The atomic bombing of Hiroshima, while marking one of the darkest chapters in human history, also catalyzed a global movement towards peace and disarmament. It underscores the urgency of addressing nuclear threats and the importance of pursuing diplomatic solutions to international disputes. The echoes of that fateful day continue to reverberate in our collective consciousness, shaping the discourse on nuclear weapons and international relations. As we navigate the complexities of the modern world, the lessons of Hiroshima serve as a guiding beacon, emphasizing the preciousness of peace and the need for collective responsibility. The story of Hiroshima is not just a historical event, it is a continuous call to action, a plea to safeguard our future from the perils of nuclear devastation.